Welcome to Elevation, a Stairway to Recovery podcast. I'm Ricky.
I'm Pat.
And I'm Robbie.
We have the pleasure of having Robbie here today to talk about just a little bit about his life and what has led him to where he is now. So how are you doing today?
I'm well,
Awesome.
actually.
Thank you for
doing
coming.
Fantastic. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here. My pleasure.
So what peer center are you from?
JP Recovery Center in Jamaica Plain. We're located right near Forest Hills, and we are a peer-led, peer-run facility, peer recovery sports center. We do, pretty much the same thing Stairway to Recovery here in Brockton does. Exactly the same thing. We're not as big. We just opened 2 years ago, but we're trying to grow our brand, do the best we can to help people find recovery through the exposure to as many recovery options as possible.
Nice.
That's nice. That's great. So tell us a little about how'd you come to this road right here and sitting with us?
All right. So, grew up here in Brockton and enjoyed my childhood, even though it was weird. People talk about the white picket fence story, that American dream. I literally was born into that. I grew up on the outskirts of Brockton, literally the last neighborhood before you could get to West Bridgewater.
Oh, okay.
It's Brockton. So
Out
it wasn't a super nice house, but my father was working on it, making it nice. He was married to my mother. Things were great. That's how I remember my early childhood. My first memories were perfect, literally perfect. And then my mother found her way into addiction, changed everything, and she was faced with an option. God rest her soul. I don't like to ever feel like I'm talking bad about her, but this is the truth. Faced with an option from my father, you can do drugs and head out, or you can stay and be a mother. She literally chose to leave, and I don't think I ever got over that. It was a big issue for me. If you ask young me, I'm gonna tell you it's fine. My dad's the best dad in the world. I don't miss her. I'm all right. I still talk to her. I'm good. Everything's fine. Nothing was fine.
It's tough as a kid to not think it's your fault either. That's a natural instinctive thought that we all have as kids, is to think it's our fault.
Absolutely, especially when, truth be told, again, being honest, I was the snitch. I told on my mother. My sister tried to turn a blind eye to it all. She just didn't want to deal with it, which helped me in certain times during the fights of the parents and what was going on and police coming to the house. She would distract me because I wanted to know.
Yeah.
I wanted to know what's going on. I was the inquisitive one,
Okay.
And I would snitch on my mother. So like you said, about the feeling like it's your fault part, I remember when she left, I used to go over that in my head. Should I have told Dad this? Should I have told Dad that? Should I have called them this day? I should have probably not called them, But again, like you said, it's, we grow and we learn.
Yep, exactly.
We grow and we learn.
That must have been a heavy burden to carry while you were young, kind of going through that a lot.
Coexisting with growing up in Brockton.
Yeah.
Absolutely. However, what I can say is this: I had a tight group of friends. There was a lot of us, and we all faced similar struggles, some worse than others.
Yep.
Right.
Nobody compared. We all just came together as like a little family.
Nice.
And I had no plans on doing it, but that's what this tattoo is. It's about those guys.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
That's awesome.
It's about those guys. And ladies, excuse me, all of us.
Now, when your parents split up, was your mom still actively involved in your life?
No, I was actively involved in hers.
Okay.
Again, the inquisitive one.
Yes.
Like I said, I would chase her down all around here to the shelter, to the tent city, the bridges, all of it, and just make sure she's all right, I did this for a long time. I did this as soon as I had the ability to maneuver throughout Brockton on my own. That was my goal. That was my goal, is I am going to help my mom. It's a big part of my childhood, is I thought I could break her out of it. I thought that my love for her, because she taught me about unconditional love, I thought that if I showed her that, it would break her out of it. That's what I believed, And
unconditional love.
Absolutely. I tried my best. And again, here's what comes back to thinking it's your fault, I look back on how many times I enabled her and all that, but through the process of recovery, of my own recovery, you know, I'm able to accept a lot of the things that I did, especially as I was a kid.
Yeah.
What do you expect from a kid? You know,
Exactly.
I was a kid all the way until I was 33 years old, when I finally decided to quit heroin. You know,
Yeah.
that's the truth.
Yeah.
I started growing up that day. So it's, you know, it's been a while, but it brought me into my own problems because, as you said, heavy burden.
Yeah.
Heavy burden became raised by a single father who was raised by a single father. It's sort of a toxic masculinity situation in the household.
Absolutely.
You know, so we don't talk about it. My father would try to bring it out of me. He'd try to do what we're doing right now.
Right.
If you want to, you know, he wasn't even taught that, but he'd try it. And I didn't want to hurt his feelings. So I'd give him the same answer I said earlier. Dad, you are a dad and a mother. You know, I'm good. I'm good. But it was a lie.
Yeah.
It was always a lie. I missed that woman so much, you know, to this day. And like, that's what brought me, I believe, that pain, you know, accompanied with a few other things, you know, growing up, my own mental health issues and my poor coping mechanisms of dealing with things is what led me to my own addiction, you know. And I started smoking weed real young. That's where it really began. I just didn't know.
Right.
What age was that?
9.
9?
9 years old. 9 years old. Now, I did it maybe twice that year. I lived in Plymouth for 1 year. We had to sell my grandfather's house. I did it with my babysitters and shit. They thought it was cool. Excuse me. But they thought it was cool.
Yeah.
And
So it wasn't something that you sought out and found? Like
no,
they
that's
brought it-
exactly what it was. That's exactly what it was. I can't blame
okay.
them. No
Yeah.
way.
But they just gave you access to it?
Yeah, they tried to prevent it at first. Yeah, truthfully. I'm trying to remember now. No, they tried to prevent it like hell. But I was eager. I thought weed was okay. How I viewed it wasn't like all the drugs. I said I'd only smoke weed. This is what's going to happen. And I smoked weed. And what did it do for me? Those mental health issues I told you about, all of a sudden relaxed.
Yes.
They fell back. And I went, oh crap, I can do stuff. You know?
Yeah.
I could go, you know, I can go play basketball, and which I became pretty good at. I can go play football, which I became pretty good at. And I did it all while smoking weed. It became an everyday thing, like before school, after school, you name it, 5th grade. So whatever, you know, 11.
Yeah.
You know, something like that. By that point, I had a road dog, another kid that was, you know, he was, you know, a foster child and just, you know, I'm sure had much pain of his own.
Yes.
Yeah, and he found out I smoked weed. We went together, and that was it. You know, like it was on from there.
Yeah.
It was on from there. It became an everyday thing. That hustle, like I said, should have known it was an addiction back then, but I was a kid, so what do you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was using it like I would any other drug coming in the future, and I didn't know yet. You know, I had no idea. It wasn't until, you know, late high school, everybody was doing OCs. You know, it was probably 2003, 2004.
Okay.
And what I was doing is I was disowning my friends for turning on to heroin, but here I was hiding my own OC habit.
Okay.
You know, which I obtained when I got my license. I remember that. You know, I started messing around because you got more access. You know,
Yes,
right? Things are
yeah.
wide open now. And then I started messing around and said, "Not me." you know,
famous
not me,
you
not me.
know.
You know, I'm different. I'm not like them. I'm not like my mom. I'm not like them people. That's how I felt. That's the view I had. That's the stigma of the world at the time.
Right.
You know, people can party, people can do things, and I saw many other people doing it. However, that addict gene kicked in. When people stopped on Monday morning or Sunday night, excuse me, Friday just kept going. It's the same old cliche you'll hear at any other recovery meeting. But it's the truth. And I didn't see it. My own addiction took hold, and then, before you know it, 18 years ago, gone. Just gone. Just absolutely gone. Remember bits and pieces. I did some good things along the way. I tried to hold it together. I was that functioning addict for a while. Probably 10 years at that time.
Okay.
But then I fell apart. It broke me. My addiction broke me.
When you say broke, I mean like broke like a lot of us do pass. Well, for me, yeah. When I broke me, I was lost.
Oh yeah.
Wicked lost. I was like handcuffed like this, and I was like, I don't know what they're going to do here.
Oh yeah. When people say rock bottom, everybody's rock bottom looks different, but I remember exactly what mine looks like, and I'll never forget. I'll never forget, you know, having nowhere to go. Nobody, I almost said nobody cares, excuse me. My family cared. My daughter cared. People cared about me. But I didn't care about myself. I saw my mother die, like I said. And when that happened, I thought that was my future. I believed it. I lost all hope. I went, oh man, this is what's in store for me. You know, they tell you at meetings in certain groups, jails, institutions, and death, which is supposed to scare you. But if that scared me, I wouldn't have done heroin for 18 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You flirt with all three of them all the time, every single day.
And we have that mentality. Oh, it's not going to happen to me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the other side of the coin is I didn't care if it happened to me. Any of them. They didn't scare me.
Yeah.
It didn't scare me. And then I saw what happened to my mom. You know, that whole long life of living alone and with nobody around you, and me chasing her, but her running away. The only person that really, really loves you is chasing you, and you're running away. I saw my future being like that, and I thought maybe, you know, that could potentially happen to my daughter. We had a close relationship. You know, I was really, really close to my daughter. Still am. She's older now, so, you know, I'm as close to a 19-year-old as you can possibly get. I love you, Ava. But no, she, you know, played a big part in all of it. If I didn't have her, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. And that's the truth. Well, I mean, like I said, I was functioning, right?
Yeah.
So everything was going great. I was able to share custody with my ex. You know, nobody was bugging me. My ex knew. Everybody knew. I was just functioning enough and being a good father. I wasn't the best dad I could be, but I was a good father still. So it was hidden pretty well. So people just kind of allowed it, maybe turned a blind eye to it.
Okay.
You know? So for, we'll say 10 years, that's how it went. That was a big part of my daughter's life. We co-parented. You know, she got remarried. I was cool with her husband. Everything was great. And I can't believe I'm going to admit this, but I stole from her, my kid's mother. I stole pills from her one time when I was, you know, not feeling so great.
Yeah.
Yep.
That sickness.
Yeah.
Appears.
I cannot believe I just said that, but I did. And, you know, I was supposed to tell my daughter, she was 11. And I couldn't muster up the courage. I couldn't. So when she asked me about it and I told her yes, she told me, Daddy, I don't want to talk to you until you get your together, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
And that lasted for a little over a year and some months.
Yeah.
I didn't talk to her. She wouldn't respond to me. She wouldn't anything. And that put me, again, my mother died. That happened. I'm in the deepest, darkest pits of my life. And my dad said to me, again, here comes my great dad to the rescue. He said, I can promise you one thing. I can't promise you that Ava's going to come back. What I can promise you is that she will not come back if you keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Wow. That's actually pretty good words of wisdom.
Well,
right there.
it changed the way I saw everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It did. At that moment, I didn't get clean right away. It still took, you know, some months, maybe a summer. But I remember when he said it to me, it did. It shifted something inside of me. And went, you know, it's coming. That's what I knew in that moment. It's coming.
Yeah.
And I was a little scared, but I knew it was coming. And the following September, I did enter a treatment center. And reluctantly,
We all did that.
very, very, very reluctantly. Let me stress that because
Yeah.
I still didn't want to do it. I never wanted to do community living ever again. Did that way too many times.
So at that point, but what was important to you was getting yourself back, getting back to your daughter, within your daughter's life.
What drew me in was her. You know, people will say you can't get clean for somebody else, and I do agree with that statement. However, I don't agree with it to a point. Like you can go into it because somebody else motivated you to. If you
Right.
really, you know, true love. I don't know. That's true love right there. I don't care. what anyone says.
Absolutely. Unconditional love.
Yeah, like you said, like I said earlier about my mother. You know, I have it for my daughter. No matter what happens, I'm gonna love that little woman.
Yep.
You know, so that was it. I was grasping for whatever could potentially bring her back in my life in any way, shape, or form. I didn't really care about myself, but it wasn't working. I was faking it. You know, through the program into my halfway house, I was still just kind of white knuckling, as they call it.
Okay.
You know.
Well, fake it till you make it.
Yeah, like hoping for the best. I didn't think I could do it still. No, you know, didn't really have any hope for myself. So like I said, just hope for some kind of change. And again, like this is why I do stand by that statement. It has to be for you, because nothing changed until I changed.
Absolutely true. That's
The
very
fact that you wanted it.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. That's when things really, really kicked into high gear. When I went, okay, and again, I like to bring this in because JP Recovery Center, Stairway to Recovery, I like to preach all of them. When I do my pitches to a halfway house, I don't just talk about JP Recovery Center. I'm gonna let everybody know about anything that's in the area you live, because I know where they all are now. You know, I've been doing it long enough where I know how to give people the resources that they're gonna need, which is what we're supposed to do, you know?
Nice.
And I learned all of this, like how to heal, how to, you know, things are okay. Your own individual pathway is going to be fine as long as you really work a program. I learned this stuff through, you know, a recovery center.
Oh, okay.
It was actually a recovery gym, but they, you know, same ideas like Phoenix Gym in Boston, but they have like a free gym for people in recovery, and then they have their All Pathways to Recovery meetings, and that's where I was introduced to All Pathways, the idea of All Pathways. Before that, what I would hear, there's three separate ways, really. You know, you go to your programs, you get your in-house commitments constantly, and it's one of three things. Predominantly, you're going to have AA, you're going to have some NA come in there, and then you're going to have Teen Challenge show up once in a while. So the places I've been anyway, and that's really it. That's really it. And I noticed that, and I tried all three things. Now I didn't go to Teen Challenge, but I did try my religious route. You know, I tried everything. And I'll be honest, I won't point fingers at anybody, but what I got, I think why it took so long was the finger pointed at me. Everything I tried, they'd tell me, you're not doing it right. You're half-assing it, you know? And in hindsight, they weren't wrong. They were absolutely correct. But to say that to somebody in the moment, it makes you shrink in your seat.
Yeah.
Feel this.
It degrades you.
Feel
You're
this
already,
big.
already struggling
Feel that big.
to get up
There's
there,
another
and
way
then
that-
somebody tells you that, and that pounds you back down.
Absolutely.
And then you have to do it all over again. Is your spiritual connection to whatever your higher power now, is it stronger now?
Oh, yeah.
I like the way you-
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. It rules everything in my life. And now, my own beliefs are my own beliefs. But I don't think that my beliefs are as important as some people do. What I think is people need to find what they believe in and really believe it. Because part of my recovery and rebuilding myself was stepping back and looking at my life and going, what do I really believe? And what I saw in myself was a concoction of my mom, my dad, the people I went to school with, my friends, you know, everything. It was all these beliefs that were instilled on me by the world, by somebody else, because I believed that person, or I believed this group, or I believed whatever.
But they weren't your own.
You know, and I went, damn, I need to figure out what I believe in. Like, what do I really believe in?
Yeah.
So I went on a, you know, what they call a soul search, I guess. As cheesy as that sounds, but that's what I did.
Yeah.
For,
spiritual awakening, yeah.
you know, I've also heard this quote in recovery. You know, they say, your first 5 years, you get your marbles, and your next 5 years, you learn to play with them. And
That's actually a good quote.
well, I
It
just,
makes sense.
you know, I just crossed 6 years of recovery in September.
Congratulations,
No,
bro.
thank you. And it's, you know, it's
congrats.
awesome. But what happened was I finally understood that quote.
Yeah.
During that sixth year, you know, on my way to that 6 year mark, I definitely learned how to play with it all. Everything I accrued, all that soul searching, all the information I gathered, everything I was studying, because I wasn't just studying one type of thing. Believe me, I was taking a look at everything.
Right.
Okay.
And I
To
brought,
see your options,
and
to
I brought
see-
it all together.
Yep.
And you know, there is a belief called Gnosticism that died out in the early, like 150 AD or something. And they were the followers of Jesus, is what it's recorded in history. That's what they were believing in. And Gnosticism is essentially this. If you look into it, we don't care what you believe. all pathways lead to God. If you get to God and your life enhances and you enhance those around you, good job. You know,
That's kind of like recovery. When you
essentially,
yeah,
and it's
essentially.
where exactly. Thank you so much for connecting.
Because
that.
we have so many paths of recovery, and whatever path that we choose, whatever path that works for us, right, it enhances our life and brings us closer to our higher power. Absolutely.
100%.
But I understood that. I mean, you said that, it went click right to recovery, because we all know that my recovery is not going to look like yours. His recovery is not going to look like yours, or mine look like yours. It's what works for you, what you feel secure in, what you feel safe in, and whatever motivates you. And from when I was listening, your daughter was a big motivator.
Oh, yeah.
Your father was there supporting you, saying, I'm going to be honest with you and be upfront. And he basically laid it right out flat. And then in that moment, I could see where you go, all right, it's time for a change, because I've been in that moment for myself, on me, and I go, oh my God. Kind of like you, I was scattered all over the place. I'm not sure what the hell to do. And then it clicked. And then when I started to click, and I just started to work it, and, you know, test the water, you know, when you go through a pool, you go,
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that's a little trouble, help me trouble. And the same thing with recovery.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's deep.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said about the 5-year thing, you know, my first 5 years, I did a lot of studying, a lot of deep looks into myself, you know, and again, I'm a big proponent of harm reduction, because I wouldn't take medication to start things off. What I did was I smoked marijuana. And then, well, I'll be real with you. I took it a step further, because that's what we do.
Yep, that's what we
And
do.
I didn't relapse on the drugs that were taking me out, or alcohol, because I have even longer from cocaine and alcohol. It'll be 10 years April 1st.
Congratulations
Thank
on
you,
that, bro.
thank you, because that one had to go first. It was doing things, you know. And so in my third year, or second year actually, my second year, I got hired in recovery for the first time as an RS at a detox.
Nice.
And I met my current fiance there.
Wow.
She, you know, we were both RSs, and you know, I had no idea, like, you know, anything about her, but I had this attraction to her, and little did she know I was slipping up with psychedelics. Yeah, I was hiding it from everybody, you know.
But now they're experimenting with psychedelics.
Well, yeah, and again, I'm going to be honest, it changed my life. I can't do them anymore because the final act landed me in a psych ward, but, you know, that's what happened. Right. And she stuck by me through it all, and she loved me unconditionally.
Yep.
There it is.
Like nobody else ever did, you know, like nobody else ever has in my life.
And isn't it great when they make the choice to love you? You know, your parents have to because you're their kid, but to have somebody make that choice and no matter what to unconditionally love you is a great feeling.
Because that, again, like I said, I remember coming out of that psych ward that morning and thinking to myself, all the things I could lose. They say the opposite of addiction is connection, right?
Right.
I believe that. Because I had these connections and I had these bonds that I did not want to break, and that was, you know, my daughter and her were the ones specifically. No disrespect to the rest of my family, but like you said, I knew they'd be there. Yeah. They'd tell me this is the last time, 1,000 million and infinity times, you know what I mean? But I knew in my heart, you know, my father, my sister, my brother, the people, you know, the people that are in my circle are not going to give up on me. They might not be willing to help me all the time.
Yes.
But they won't walk away.
Exactly. They're going to love me. They're going to, you know, when things are real, they're going to be there for me.
Yep.
And I knew that. But these, you know, my daughter saying no to me at 11 changed a big thing in me, because again, if she kept being in my life, that was going to enable me. Yes. She did what I couldn't do when I was a child. Look at that. I thought I was chasing my mom. I thought this was the way to get her, you know, show how much I love her, yada, yada, yada. The way she showed me she loved me was says, I can't watch you. Yeah. And I remember, you know, our manipulating ways, the way we are. You know, us, you know the deal? The way we are.
We have a science to
it. Man, I had that down to a T.
Yeah.
So I'm on the phone with her, like on that final phone call where she really was telling me all this, and I said to her, I said, you know, I know how you feel. I said, I witnessed it with Grandma. And she said, yeah, exactly. You know how I feel. And I said, exactly, but look what I did. I stuck by her no matter what, and I loved her that whole time, and I did everything I possibly could to try to help her along the way. I'm like, and now you're just gonna bail on me? Remember this, 11 years old. Credit to Ava here, teaching dad something. She really said back to me, yeah, but how did that make you feel?
Wow.
Yeah.
Out of the mouths of babes.
I stopped, and I thought about it, and I went, damn. That was a huge lesson right there that I was missing. And I was taught by my 11-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
You know, what a moment, what a memory to have. And then it brought me to where I was. And then, like I said, fast forward back to all the mental health, and the psych was giving me the psychedelics were giving me mental health issues. So, you know, skip past all that, and, you know, here I am still standing stronger than ever.
Nice.
Because of, you know, my beliefs, because of my choices, because of the decisions I make today, because I wake up and go, I will do this when I have goals. I don't say, I'm hoping I can do this. Maybe I could do this. No, I'm gonna do this. Yep. And until I do, I keep saying it.
Right there.
Until I do.
Your whole way of thinking.
Yeah, until I do that goal, whatever it may be, or face that issue that's in the way, I'm gonna keep saying, I am going to, because it's working. You know?
That's what matters.
It's working.
And you say so you know you went to treatment and everything, and if you don't mind me asking,
No, anything.
How many times did that?
So, what, such as going to
like a treatment
an inpatient
facility?
program?
Yes.
I have no idea.
Just a lot.
A lot.
Okay.
Enough. I would say, if I had to really guess, in the teens or 20s.
Okay.
Yeah. It was mainly like 5 locations. You know, I'd cycle them. There was like a 4 or 5 year period where that's how I lived.
Oh, okay.
That's
Just
you know,
rotating.
I had a job, and every once in a while, I would be like, yo, I got to go somewhere because, you know, you lose the place you live in, you ain't paying your bills, whatever's going on, the girl kicks you out, blah, 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 you know.
Right.
I end up with nowhere to live, and hey, I got to go do something, I'll be back, you know.
Oh, okay.
I used to move furniture, and I moved for, you know, my older cousin, but I'll say brother because he grew up in our house as well. But I would move furniture for him, and he understood, you know. He wasn't very nice about it sometimes, you know what I mean? He looked
The
at it.
family can be really
Yeah,
hard
you know,
when they believe it's necessary.
Exactly. There was a lot of tough love in my house. Like I said, like that manliness. It was. It's funny to look back on. Yeah, how everybody, you know, thought that was the way. You know, everybody thought it was the way. Who's the toughest? You know, who can scare you the most? Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
We all know the story.
Yeah, we know the story.
Yeah,
We all
and I
grew
mean,
through it.
it's cool how that. I'd like to, you know, talk about that too. Is that nowadays, honestly, I sit down and I have good talks with my father.
Yep.
I have good talks with my brother. He lives in Texas right now, my older brother.
Okay.
I have good talks with my little brother, who also lives with my sister and my father. You know, the family's still tight because, you know, life is tough right now.
Yeah.
So, you know, I have good talks with my sister. We have talks like we never had growing up.
Wow.
And even how, as an adult, they didn't want to listen to me because, you know, I was an active user.
Yeah.
I was never in denial. I was always open about it, but I still was open about this is how I'm going to get better. Like, let's talk, you know.
Talk it out.
Let's talk, guys.
Talk it out.
We got some stuff to talk about. Can we please talk about it, you know?
Yeah.
And nobody wanted to for a long time until I could show them something, you know?
That you're showing that you are committed.
Yeah.
You are serious.
Yeah.
This is no bull, but
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And then when you start doing that and they actually physically see it in you, then the talks came around. So the bridges that were burned, which we all burn our bridges, we do. But when you start putting that communication back in there and you start rebuilding those bridges in different places, things start moving.
Yeah, it's, again, self-improvement. You know,
Yes.
I feel like that's where we are right now. That's where I'm at anyway. I won't do we statements. I'll say that's where I'm at is I have a strong feeling that to fix major issues in our lives, in the world, you first have to start with yourself on these small ones and work your way up. You know, somebody once said to me, my best friend, shout out to Chris, he said to me, tend to the garden you can reach. Slow down. Because I used to get caught up in world issues. You know, when I first got in recovery, because I didn't care about that stuff for years. I kicked out of it. But what I was going to school for was like, you know, to be a politician. I took National American Government. I was super into all that. Wow. So when I came back to recovery, all of it came flooding on me, and it was breaking me down. I wasn't sleeping over stuff that's major issues,
Right.
but I have no control over.
Yeah.
You know, I had to realize that working on self is going to help me move forward. If you ever get the chance, grow your garden. You know,
That's right.
If you have the ability, you have the reach, grow your garden.
Yeah.
But right now, that's what I do is tend to the garden I can reach. My family, my daughter, my fiance. You know, that woman I mentioned earlier. Yeah, Nina. Shout out to Nina. I love you, my babe.
I'm so proud to hear your story and for you to actually share it with us. That's an amazing story. Yeah, grow your garden. Trim your own, you know, trim your garden.
Yeah.
And when you mention that, and for us, and for me or us in recovery, attending your garden is taking care of self.
That's right. That's where it begins.
That's
you
where
know?
it begins. If you don't have that, you can't.
You don't even have a garden if you don't have yourself. You know, it all begins in here. And again, I'll use a quote from one of my favorite people. You know, he's passed, but his name was Ram Dass. First, originally Dr. Richard Alpert, and his quote is, "I can do nothing for you, but work on myself. You can do nothing for me, but work on yourself." And I love it. That quote really, really, again, I have a lot of
Sticks
quotes
with you.
that stick with me, that really hit hard and hit home and make me go, wow, that could change everything. If people just understood that one quote. And many men throughout history have preached in this manner. You know, ways to help people, help self in order to help everything else. That's
Self-improvement.
begins with self.
That's
It
right.
all comes back to self.
Self-enlightenment,
Self.
loving yourself.
Yeah.
Believing in yourself.
You know, when I didn't love myself, I was not a nice person. You love yourself and things change. You know, I thought I was unconditionally loving before, but I truly unconditionally love today.
Right.
You know, truly in my heart, I love everybody.
Yeah.
You know, really, that's why I do what I do. Because I got out and I couldn't believe it before. I would never. You told me 10 years ago this would be me today. You know,
Just gonna happen.
you get the deal. You know, I'm sure. You know, I would have never, ever in a million years believed this is possible. The things that are in my life today. You know.
That you achieved.
Yeah, those bonds and connections that I spoke of earlier that I worked towards, these goals that I had, you know, faced issues that needed to be faced from the past, from the present, and potential future ones, you know. Keep your guard up, you know.
Self-empowerment.
Stay vigilant, we know.
I'm listening to
Yeah.
you. Self-empowerment. I hear
Exactly,
that from you.
yeah.
You put that out there. I'm like, got my attention there.
I mean, the whole deal is how you do it, I believe. That's my opinion. You know, I won't say that that's a fact because who knows, really. But, you know, that's what I try to, show people.
Your philosophies.
Yeah, I don't really like, as a trained recovery coach, I definitely don't want to tell people what's up or how to think or anything because, again, here's another quote, a great teacher is going to teach you how to think, and a great manipulator is going to teach you what to think.
Exactly.
I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that anymore.
It's kind of like that quote that I kind of like. And if I fish for you for today, you'll eat for today. But if I teach you how to fish, you'll eat for life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And those quotes like that, they hit me hard. Because when I look back and everything I'd done, all the way up to here, like right now, if you ask me, Pat, would you believe you'd be here right now? Absolutely not.
Of course not.
And here I am. I'm co-hosting with this cool guy over here, talking to you.
Love it.
We're talking to people out here,
Amazing.
right? And just getting the word out there that, recovery is wicked possible, but you got to first start with the first step, whatever that may be.
Absolutely. And I think, hope.
And hope, faith.
Because I had no hope, and then one day I did through the power of, like I said, all pathways to recovery and the ideas of harm reduction and what, this recovery gym was teaching me, this center, they taught me a lot, ideas that I didn't have before, exposure to new ideas, like I was saying earlier. There was no other type of commitment, so I didn't know of anything I heard the name, you hear, smart recovery, you hear refuge recovery. I didn't know what they were.
Right.
And I was too like
I agree.
embarrassed to just walk in. I don't know, that shameful. I can't explain it. You know what I mean?
No, I
But
get it.
got myself a recovery coach, and he showed me how to just check stuff out. And before you know it, I found my way into certain pathways that really, truly were working. So that's, what I try to show people is that you have your own pathway, absolutely, and you're going to have to search for what works for you. Right. The only way is by checking out all these groups. As an outreach coordinator, all I can do is tell you, I can tell you till I'm blue in the face about pretty much each one, except you don't know what it's like until you go.
You physically attend or be
walk
there
in,
or
go
do
to
the
a
walk.
virtual even. I tell people all the time, if you don't feel comfortable walking in, because this, this day and age, things have gotten weird since the lockdown. You want virtual, go virtual. Check it out. Do it, and then see if something works for you. If you're not trying new things, getting exposed to different things, are you doing anything different? Because when I tried the same old, I know what happened to me. Right. So once I tried new things, I actually found a way that gave me hope again. And I went, wow, here we go. Let's try this.
Yeah, actually, I've heard this a few times. Failure, when you fail, it doesn't mean you fail. It means it's just a process.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's part of the process. And you're going to, keep going, but always keep in mind, you didn't fail because of it. It's just a process. It's what you got to do to get to where you're going. Like we heard, I'm sure many times that Thomas Edison, over 1,000 times he failed trying to figure out how to work the light bulb, and then finally he did, right? Just imagine that guy said, "Forget this, man, I'm out of here, I don't want nothing to do with that." In our recovery, if we do say that, all we're doing is looking for self-destruction. And I know, for me, I'll keep it on me, I was brutally assaulted myself. I would never speak to a person like that. But it took me time to learn about self-love. Oh, yeah. And when I started learning about self-love, the way I talk to myself, no, I don't talk like that anymore, because all it does is just bring me self-sabotage. Yeah. But yeah. But in roads to recovery, there's so many. And I believe whatever path you pick, it's meant for you. You'll pick it, you'll know it, right? And you'll go, oh, this is working for me. This is working for me. And that is the wicked secret.
And I know they have, they call it traditional ways of recovery, but I feel all ways of recovery are traditional. It's just whatever works for you.
Yeah. And again, I'll never down a single one, especially the traditional ways. Without them, none of them exist.
But to call anything traditional or
fair.
It's just, it's all pathways.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So.
Yep. Absolutely. And it is amazing. It's amazing the stuff we have available these days. It's amazing that we have all pathways to explore. Yeah. Like I said, without the ideas I expressed, earlier, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be sitting here if I kept trying this. Like I said, if I kept trying the same old, it wasn't going to work, because I didn't feel like it could work for me. And as I said, I was not really trying my best at a lot of these pathways. However, hearing that would make me rebel. It gives you that old rebellious nature, and it comes right back, and you act like a child, like, I'll show them. You know what I mean? And before you know it, you're right back where you were, because you gave up. Well, excuse me, because I gave up. However, when I finally got, they put the ball on my court. The All Pathways people in the groups that I was around put that ball back in my court. Say, yo, here's the ball, play with it. You know what I mean? Check it out for a while. See what you like, see what you don't like, see how it works for you. And that's completely different. Like I said, instead of saying, even when I drop the ball, they're gonna say, it's okay. Are you going backwards? And I'm like, nah. Are you gonna do better tomorrow than you did today? Yes. And I truly believed it. Are you working your pathway to recovery? Yes, I am. And they keep empowering me by asking me open-ended questions that I didn't realize at the time is they're trained to do that, and it's a designed way to make us think of our own answers.
Yes.
What an empowering move that can be. Yeah. No one's telling me anymore, you have to do this.
You're doing this the wrong way.
You got to do this, you got to do that. You're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. No. They just said, yo, check it out. Have fun. Yeah. Have fun, see what happens. and man, am I having fun. Man, am I having fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, like, yeah, you're right. And then, like in basketball, you know, when you get that sweet shot, you never miss. You get that sweet shot, and you know, I got it. Bing! Oh, look!
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. You can't. People have to. You have to want recovery. You can listen to the people. What works for me? What worked for me? You know, and you pick and choose yourself. But like you said, the open-end questions, you help that person realize their own answer without pushing on them. You know what I mean? Because you do that, just like you said, rebellious.
Yeah.
Whoa, back up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh. But that way. And once you find that, once you start doing that and asking yourself your own open-end questions, you find your path.
Yeah. That's exactly, you start recovery coaching yourself. Absolutely. That was well put. Thank you for that. No, thank you for that, because that's really, you know, that'll go into my pitch. I'll put that on record, and thank you for that so much, because no, really, that's what you do. You end up, you're right.
What you do.
I didn't, you know, as you're saying it, it's like it's hitting me, giving me chills that, you know, you recovery coach yourself after a while. That's that's what the recovery coaches are training you to do. Yep. And it's just an amazing process that people really should take advantage of. You know, the recovery centers in your area, the recovery coaches that are linked to them, get in on that. Get in on that. The recovery wellness planning, it helps you take, you know, big issues, big goals that when we first look at, it feel like a tornado coming at you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, the
You're
lead
like, whoa,
teddy.
especially in early recovery, like, hey, and you shriek, you know. But they help you take those goals and break it down into, let's say, you know, just for whatever, you know, 10 steps, you know, that are so much easier than that one giant goal or issue. So it teaches us how to approach these and how to actually accomplish them. And even when you only check 2 off in a week, it still feels good to see, oh, I got some of that done.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you don't, you throw it on next week's and do it again. You know what I mean? Like and you keep moving. And no one ever scolds you through the process. Right. You know, my recovery coach never told me, you know, oh, you didn't do that goal. What's wrong with you? Right. You know, it was, hey, it's all right. We'll do it next week, right? Yeah. You know, we'll keep at it. Have a good weekend, and we'll talk about this next week. I hope you get it done. You know, good for you. Keep going. You know,
great recovery.
What
coach.
a cheerleader. You know,
they are
it's the best cheerleader I ever had. You know,
like you said, as long as you're not taking steps backwards. Exactly. You know, as long as it's always steps forward, it can always work on it.
I mean, like, you know, again, I don't know where I heard this one, or I'd give it credit, but, you know, if you're running a marathon, right, which this is what this is. It's not. This is not a sprint. There is no finish line. There is no finish line for us. We're just going to be running a marathon, and it just gets easier to run that marathon. We get more conditioned to run that marathon. So even when you're running your marathon, if you slip and fall, let's say, you know, say there is a finish line, 26.2, and you slip and fall at 26, right, and you push your butt right back up and get going and finish that 2.2, you still ran your marathon, right? You still you still got there.
You don't start over.
Exactly. It's not like you lost everything that came before. You got to pick yourself back up. Now, if you lay flat on your face
and just stay there,
or for some odd reason, like Ricky mentioned earlier,
everybody else is running by you.
You decide to turn around and go the other way. How's that working for your marathon?
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I mean? Like, how's your marathon going now?
Exactly.
And again, that was the story of my life, is I didn't understand all that yet. I didn't really grasp the idea of just walk forward. Just go. You don't even have to run. Just walk it. You know, take baby steps, do whatever you got to do. And again, through the use of recovery coaches, all pathways to recovery, you know, peer recovery support centers. That's how I got this, you know. So, you know, actually landing in one and working in one, and being able to work in a position that I get to, you know, promote it and do exactly what I'm trying to do right here is promote recovery. Show people, you know, there's a way, and come check this stuff out. Get exposed to stuff. I can't tell you it's a miracle cure. I can't tell you it's definitely going to work. I know many people that I started with in this whole process that aren't here today, you know, and it's not always going to work. However, I always feel like the more effort you put into it,
the more you're going to get out of it.
You're going to get out of it, no matter what you do. No matter which pathway you choose, no matter what plan you put together, if you put a plan together and you really work hard at it, you should be okay at least. You know, I can't say you're going to be the happiest person in the world or
No,
you're going
but
to be
you're gonna
rich,
be
but you're going to
okay.
be all right. You
You're
know,
gonna be all right,
you're going to be all right.
And I like the way you said that, yeah, we start off in baby steps and we keep moving forward. Even when we fall, we brush ourselves off and we keep moving forward. If you keep doing it over and over and over and over again, you are actually conditioning yourself for the major marathon. And yes, it is true. We know that we'll never come to the finish line, but we'll get better and better and better at dealing with it.
Absolutely. And that's what it is. The world don't change. The
Nope.
world stays exactly the same.
It stays the
Especially
same.
here in New England. Nothing changed around, nothing changed around
Only
here
thing
but,
that changed is the
but
weather.
the weather. You know what I'm saying? But the
Wait,
weather.
man, the weather's gonna change.
But no, really, I do use that already in my pictures. Nothing's going to change, guys. You know what changes is how you deal with it. That's the major thing about how, and I can use a you statement on that because I see it in everybody around me. If you're in recovery, myself included, life is the same. Things didn't change, we did.
That's right.
What changes us, that's self-love. The way I talk to myself in the morning, the way I talk to myself throughout the day, those I will, those I ams, those, you know, positive affirmations.
Absolutely.
You know, let's bring it all full circle, right? I mean, because it matters. You know, the 8 dimensions of wellness, you know, checking on yourself, every spot of your life. How am I doing? Am I staying vigilant on all of them? You know, that plan. And it seems like I said earlier, this sounds like, whoa, it's a lot, right?
That's a lot to take
It's
in.
a lot. You know,
Yeah.
if somebody's watching this and they're in early recovery, they're like, oh, that's a lot.
Sure.
But as I said, if you get somebody who's been trained to deal with the situation and has personal lived experience in the field, had their own deals to get out of it, probably utilized a recovery coach if they're recovery coaching. Most of us have. I can't even say they're all, but most of us, usually that's how we find out about it. And we go, wow, I could do that, you know? And having somebody help you break down all of this is amazing. Walk you through it, you know? Have somebody say, hey, let's go. Let's do this, and encourage you the whole way through. It is amazing. It's, like I said, the empowering act of giving you the ball back, you know? And that's really my main message when I talk to people about recovery is that, you know, you can do whatever you want.
Absolutely.
You know, everything's an option. You can stay the way you are, or you can take the ball back and do whatever you want with it. And there's people that are out here that are willing to show you the way, or at least show you options that you can choose from.
To yourself.
That you're gonna love yourself when you eventually realize, wow, this might work for me.
Absolutely.
And I believe that's possible for everybody that's trying to achieve recovery. You know, but we have to put that first foot forward.
Yep,
And
that very first step.
that baby step, like you said earlier.
Yeah,
Without
because-
it doesn't go anywhere.
Because if you look at a child, when they're born, they crawl, you know, they don't move at all in the beginning. And then they get on their belly, and they just still can't move. But then they start to get that crawling thing going. And once they get that crawling going, and then they do their first step, their very first step, yep, you fall. But they get back up, and then next thing you know, they're running across the room, and you're chasing them. Wait, no!
Yeah.
And recovery is kind of just like that. We got to take that first initial step. The stepping stone, wherever it is, Stairway to Recovery, JP, Plymouth, wherever it is that first step, and you got somebody there beside you to show you where the first step might go.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, like we were just talking, you're going to become your own recovery coach by listening and taking in the criticism, hey, this worked with me, but hey, don't worry about it. We got tomorrow. And always keep it to a minimum. As don't take on a whole lot on yourself. Few things at a time. Okay, you don't get it today, you're going to get it tomorrow, and so forth and so on. But yeah, good stuff, man. How this?
So is there anybody you would like to thank or say anything to?
I definitely want to thank Victory Programs, the company that backs JP Recovery Center. It's an amazing company. I've never worked anywhere that has treated me so well.
Oh, that's good.
I have to mention that because it's the truth. Like I mentioned earlier, my program director left, Holly DeMello. She was awesome. She's the best recovery coach I've ever met. And she utilized those skills while, damn, I'm getting emotional.
It's okay, buddy.
She used those skills to, you know, help me grow. And like I said, that 6th year was different. And the big reason why is because I think we got close. You know, she was my supervisor, my boss, but we had a good, close work relationship, and she taught me so much. She was recovery coaching me the whole way through and making me want to do things for me, not for anybody else.
That's awesome.
She reignited that flame that I was missing all of a sudden.
Or it went kind of dim a little bit.
Yeah. I was lacking. I was, you know, not really, you know, staying up to date. You know, staying vigilant. I wasn't really, you know, I was doing my stuff, but lax, you know. And she just lit a fire in me, and I would like to thank her a lot. And I definitely 100% want to thank my whole family, my father, my daughter, and my fiance specifically. My goodness, thank you guys. I love
That's
you all.
awesome.
That was awesome. And that was deep.
Thank
And I could feel the love out that boy.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Self-love it. Woo-hoo! Definitely.
Oh, one more. My cousin Stevie. I love you, bro.
You hear that, Stevie? He love you.
And we just want to say thank you to Stairway to Recovery, the Gandara Center. Thank you, Todd, the director at Stairway, for allowing us to do this. Please come back, join us the next time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always give a shout out to BCA. And always our producer back there and our intern, they always got our back. They make us look good. I love you guys. Thank you so much for what you do.
you.
And you, my friend, I am so glad we got the chance to sit down and talk recovery. It's possible.
Absolutely.
You just got to make that first initial step.
Yep.
Along with all that,
All right.
believe in yourself, love yourself, know you're worthy of love. And when you get to that road and you get that major bump, don't be afraid to call your recovery coach, go to your local center, whatever you do, your support system, use them.
Yep.
And from that, I'm out.
All right.